Our countdown to tip-off in the Great American Conference continues. Today's stop is Magnolia. We get to visit with the head women's basketball coach of the Southern Arkansas Mule Riders, Coach Adam Collins. And, Coach, quite a turnaround for your team last season. I know that you've proven to be able to do that as a head coach before, but coming into Southern Arkansas, the girls pulled off 17 wins last year, made quite a showing, I believe, in the early round in the Great American Conference tournament against Southeastern. Great contest to close out the season. I know it wasn't the right end for you, but still it was quite a showing there. Your team did really well. Talk about the turnaround last season.
Yeah, we actually finished with the number one turnaround in the country for Division II. So going from 3 wins to 17, I think it was like a 13 and a half, however they gauged that. You know, it was 14 obviously, but the stat said it was a 13 and a half game turnaround, which was the number one turnaround in the country, from 1 year. And a lot of it is just the young ladies wanted for it to happen. I mean, the girls who were here, they were excited for it to happen, and they bought into what we were trying to do and how we were trying to play. And that's the first thing. We play such a crazy style that if you don't have a full commitment to it and everybody doesn't buy into it, then it could go bad. But when everybody does, then it can go really good. And it was really good. And we got off to a great start. We had some wins early. That was a thing. I think we had 2 wins to start the season in pretty good fashion and forced a ton of turnovers. And then we were able to go to Mississippi College and take a game into overtime on the road and end up pulling one out. And I think once you start to win, then you just believe you can win. And then obviously, Harding is the them and Arkansas Tech and SWOSU. Those are the 3 main ones in the conference. And so 4th game of the year to be able to, or 5th game of the year to be able to beat Harding, I think immediately you just know, like, well, if we can beat them, then we can beat anybody. And so, it just builds confidence. Confidence is what it takes to be good. And we built that. Like I said, we bought into the system, and then we built confidence as we went, and we were able to have that turnaround.
Coach, let's talk about that for just a moment. You talk about buying into the system, and I would imagine there are a couple of things to having as many returnees as you do this year that make it good for you, not to mention, girls that have bought into the system, but also with everything that's happened in 2020, having players that have already, understood or come to understand your style of play. You don't have to reteach all that and training on a lot of new players. What do things look like in Magnolia right now?
Things look pretty good. We're battling through everything that everyone is, with what we're all dealing with. And so, but they look good. It does help to have people back. One thing that it helps the most for is just that it's so different and so crazy compared to what people would say normal basketball is, that the more people you have telling people, yeah, don't worry about what it looks like, it works. Like, I think last year we had nobody that had ever been a part of it before. So it was just me convincing everybody that this will work. And like I said, it helped because you needed those first 3 victories to, like, oh, this does work. If you lose those first 3 games, maybe everybody's questioning whether or not it works. But now when you have, 4 new players in and they kind of look crazy at practice, like coach wants us to do what? Like we're going to shoot it that fast and we're going to run around on defense like that. It helps to have now multiple people saying, yes, it works. Just go with it and listen to them, and it works. And so that's where the returners really help. But no, things look good. I think we definitely saw some things last year that were great, and we saw some areas that we still needed to continue to grow in to advance the program. One of which is scoring the ball. Our system is also predicated on, trying to score in the hundreds and pick up the pace of the game. And we were great in forcing the turnovers last year, but we didn't always score the ball as well. And so I think we've definitely addressed that in our recruiting class, that we've addressed scoring the ball better. And so I perceive, seeing us score the ball a lot better this year, which should help us. So hopefully we'll take that next step.
Coach, the one time I got to see you all in person play was the Great American Conference tournament, that quarterfinal against Southeastern, and watching that, as many players as you send on the court, as many players as a Darren Grover team is going to send out there to the court. I mean, you really have to know your rosters well to keep up with a game like that. But it was really fun to watch. We're speaking now with Adam Collins, who is the head women's basketball coach at Southern Arkansas. And Coach, I mentioned you returned a number of players. One of those is Kesey Young, who was an all-GAC performer for you last year. Lots of other players to mention. Take us through some of those that we're going to refamiliarize ourselves with in January.
Yeah, I think, obviously Kesey made honorable mention all conference last year. I think that's one of the things in our system that, the girls have done a really good job of understanding is you're going to sacrifice a little bit in the individual stats. Where Kesey averaged, probably like 10 points and 8 rebounds. And if she played 30 minutes a game, she might average, 17 and 11. And, but, it might, they've really bought into understanding that. But, we've got a host of players. I mean, obviously with us, we play just about everybody in uniform, but, we expect to see the next step in a couple people in particular. We got a huge next step last year out of Kylie Warren, going from her freshman year to her sophomore year, where she really solidified herself as, a go-to offensive player. We had Diamond Morris that I think was, should have been in the running last year for freshman of the year. Who I think we're expecting to really, she led us in scoring as a freshman. We're expecting for her to take hopefully that same next step that some of our sophomores did last year into her sophomore year, where she really, shows everybody what she can do. And then, in terms of newcomers, we've got 4 new players, all of which drastically improve us on the offensive end in terms of shooting the three. That's the thing that we really struggled with last year, was shooting the three. And it is a main part of our system. We want to take a bunch and make a bunch in the game. And, we've added 2 junior college transfers, Kenzie Ezekiel out of Eastern Oklahoma and Jessica Jones out of Neosho County, both of which were in the top 8 in three-pointers made in junior college last year. So one made 88 and the other one made 123. So they shoot it, and they shoot it often, and that's what we wanted. And then we have a girl actually from Magnolia, played high school with Kesey and played junior college with Kesey, and then went to a Division I school out of junior college and then transferred back home, named Lily Moore. That is a 6-foot inside player who's going to make a huge, give us a huge advantage in terms of rebounding, shot blocking, and scoring inside. So we've got some very good incoming players to go with a number of returners. We did lose quite a few, that made an impact in what we did, but we're comfortable with where we're at right now.
Coach, if I remember those numbers right, I think you're right on. I think that Young had 10.1 points per game, and if I recall it was like 18 minutes, average 18 minutes, and I was looking at that thinking the same thing that you said then. More minutes, that number probably goes up, but that 18 minutes, that's a lot for the way that you send those girls out there in waves like you did. So yeah, I probably should be happy with those 18 minutes, but this looks to be really exciting. It should be fun to watch with all those 3-point shooters that you bring to the program. Well, the Mule Riders are picked in a tie for 3rd in the Eastern Division of the Great American Conference this season, according to the GAC coaches poll. You have a couple of games at home in your first 3, but you open the season on the road against the other team that was tied with you all in the preseason coaches poll, and that's Henderson State. Talk about the opening to your season.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously tough draw. They've done a great job at Henderson for years now. They as much as any team in the league, know their identity. They know what they do, and they're very, very good at it, and they're very well coached, and they have good players. And so, it's a tough draw to go on the road right off the bat. I do think, there's some, familiarity with them. We played them obviously a good bit, and our girls are excited about that. But just the whole concept right now of we're going to get to see them a lot. So whether you play them in the first game, or the fourth time, it's you're going to have to play them. And so I think it's a good test for us to start on the road, and go down there and play Henderson. And I think both teams, lost a decent amount of players from last year, and both teams had a good recruiting class. And so I think both teams are fully expecting to pick up right where they left off, and it should be a good matchup. And obviously, like you said, it's the battle of third place teams. On our side, I don't know how that really equates if you look at like both sides of the conference and where we would have been picked or anything like that. But the preseason stuff is what it is. It's preseason, and there's so much that's going to happen between now and the end of the year. Between there is every year, and probably more this year than ever, in terms of who's playing well at the right time and everything like that. And so our goal is just to compete every night, and just pick up where we left off. We had a lot of momentum. We felt like we had a lot of momentum. Last game of the year didn't necessarily go well, but as you said, from being there, we made it exciting, to not play well in the first half and be down 30 and to only be down 7 with like 4 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go. Like, that's us. We're never really, I don't think we're ever too far ahead, and we're never too far behind with the way we play. And so we felt like we had a lot of momentum. I think our girls were excited about the turnaround of the season, excited about where SAU's program was, and disappointed in our first half performance there. And, really wanting to get back to the court and keep working so that we don't have that happen this year. And we've had a long break and maybe lost a little momentum, but I think we're starting to gain that back, and we're excited about it. So that's our thing, is we just don't want this to be a one-time thing. When I came here, it was an opportunity to get something consistent going here. They've had some good seasons here and there, but there hasn't been a lot of consistency over the years in terms of 4, 5, 6 years in a row being right there in the middle. And our men's team has done a great job of that, of making the conference tournament every year and being right in the middle of everything every year. Mm-hmm. And that's where we want to get. We want to be right in the middle of everything every year. And so last year was great, but we've got to stay right in the middle of it this year and keep the momentum going for next year, this year, next year, so that we can do this 5, 6 years in a row.
I understand. Well, Coach, it looks like that the foundation is there, and it's going to be a fun foundation, a fun team to watch over the next few years as you continue to build on that with the players coming in. Southern Arkansas, according to the preseason coaches poll on the women's side, the Eastern Division picked in a tie for third place. Coach Adam Collins, thank you so much for taking time with us today as we count down to tip-off in the GAC.
No problem. I appreciate your time. Thank you.